The Jags and Colts are 4-1. The Chiefs are 2-3. What's going on in the AFC? We're going to examine the landscape of the conference today on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast.
You are Locked On NFL Scouting with the Draft Dudes, your daily podcast for NFL and college football scouting. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's better than this? It's guys being dudes here on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast. We're the Draft Dudes. I'm Joe Marino from Locked On Bills. He's Kyle Crabbs from Locked On Dolphins. And we are your NFL experts here with you daily to talk team building across the league on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast with the Draft Dudes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Want to issue a big thank you, shout out, and welcome to our everydayers. Those of you who never miss a single episode, we appreciate you all being here very, very much.
Joe, happy Victory Tuesday to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Happy opening day for the NHL, I believe, or at least the Florida Panthers are playing their first game.
Is it?
So
Wow.
Hockey season is back. But we're full in on the AFC landscape after 5 weeks. We've kind of reached the 1/3 mark of the season. Can I ask you just off the cuff who your MVP pick would be through 5 weeks?
I think Baker Mayfield.
That was
Four game-winning drives, 4 fourth-quarter comebacks. Nobody's available on the offense with him.
Tied for the league lead in interceptions last year. He has one pick through 5 games.
There you go. That's a big part of becoming the MVP. You got to do that. So he's well on his way.
Turnovers.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There's a guy in the AFC who cut down on turnovers last year and won MVP.
Heard about it.
Part of the first block we're going to talk about here, that football team, on who is for real in the AFC, where you have, it feels like the NFC from a few years ago, right? A lot of parity, a lot of emerging new teams at the top of the conversation, a lot of teams in transition that are maybe towards the bottom of life cycles, and teams that have new coaches and have been a little bit into a build who are starting to emerge. And it creates a really exciting landscape that kind of looks a little bit like 2002 from the conference standings thus far when you consider where some of these teams are at. Jacksonville, as we mentioned, with their big win over Kansas City. I mean, Kansas City now 2-3. I'm not fading Kansas City just yet.
Oh, I think Mahomes looks good.
I think he's playing well, and
yeah,
the speed and the fact that they ran the ball against Jacksonville the way that they did, I think is a cause for a lot of optimism. You don't necessarily plan on letting the quarterback get stepped on and fall down and lay on the ground for 5 seconds, and the mass chaos with the end of the Trevor Lawrence play there. But that Jaguars defense taking the ball away, Devin Lloyd, pick 6.
That was spectacular, dude. That was a spectacular freaking play.
Yeah.
He hit the zoomies, man. I think I saw a tweet that summed it up. Lloyd ran out of gas at the 30, but still just went. You could tell he found it, man. That was an unbelievable return.
Yeah.
That was a 14-point swing in the game. If you're Kansas City, boy, you're thinking about that. You're thinking about the Bucker flop on the field, on the kickoff.
That was bad.
That was bad.
Butker's had a few stinkers this season, and that might be the worst one because of what it set the stage, especially because Trevor, the first 2 plays, right? We ran around like a chicken with our head cut off and ran 30 seconds off the clock and got no yards to save for it, and then had 2 dimes back-to-back to put him in the red zone.
Yeah, that's a game you feel like Kansas City should win. I mean, they outgained them by like 160 yards. They had 13 penalties and a 14-point swing on a pick 6.
Yeah.
But
it's all the margins that Kansas City usually wins that helped them go undefeated in 1-score games last year.
Yeah, and they're 0-3 in 1-score games so far this season after being 10-0 last year.
11-0.
Was it 11?
11-0. Yeah.
Oh, thank you for the reminder.
Tied for the NFL record for 1 score.
AFC Championship game was 1 score. Yeah, remember that quite well. I kind of think the Chiefs are going to be okay. Obviously, they're not positioning themselves for their usual chilling in week 18, chilling in the wild card round. And I think that's what's fascinating about the Chiefs this year is they're going to have to fight for it, whether it's the division or maybe some road games in the postseason. I think that's going to be on the menu for Kansas City. I'm not saying they can't do it. They got one more game left without Rashee Rice. That's going to matter for their offense. Kind of feels like the left side of that line's coming together, man. I I really kind of want to watch Suamaitea because I think he's getting after some people at left guard. Like you mentioned, the run game had some nice elements last night. I think their passing game is going to be a little bit better, but can their defense round into form? And I think it always has, right? That's always been the case with Kansas City is their defense kind of figures it out, and you see their takeaways have upticked the last couple of weeks. I think they'll kind of hit their stride. They had a bit of turnover on that side of the football in some spots as well.
Yeah. Their biggest concern's the schedule, where they have Detroit this week. I know they have the Bills in 4 weeks in Buffalo.
Yeah, Washington as
well.
well.
The week before that is Washington before the bye.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a tough slate. And then you get into, they haven't played Denver yet.
Yep. 2 of those.
They get the Chargers late, where the Chargers have a chance to try to get healthy. They got to play Indianapolis. They get the Houston defense. Like it's your margin for error is pretty slim. And now you have a head-to-head tiebreaker loss for conference seeding and standing with Jacksonville if it comes down to that at the end of the year. So they're going to have to probably weather the storm, at least go 2-2 over these next 4 games, and then come out of the bye, and they're at Denver, home against Indy. Like, it's go time. And I think they'll be fine, but they've left themselves a very little margin and that's a big change from what they were last year, where they won all the margins.
And I see them potentially losing on Sunday night against Detroit. I mean, they're going to be 2-4 going into the Raiders.
Right.
They can stack it. They know what to do. And I think the most encouraging thing, if I'm a Chiefs fan, I'm watching Mahomes right now and thinking, okay, we're going to be okay. Are you?
So.
Who are you taking more seriously between the Jaguars and the Colts? The Jaguars have some nice wins, dude. They beat Kansas City. They beat the Niners. They beat Houston. They got to be kicking themselves that their only loss is to Jake Browning and the Bengals, and 3 Jake Browning interceptions. They still win the game. That's their one loss.
Right.
When I think about the Colts, dude, if that field goal thing doesn't happen with Denver and they're 3-2 and their wins are against the Dolphins, Titans, and Raiders, like, are we buying in to the degree that maybe some are? I'm not trying to dismiss them, but I have more questions about the Colts than I do the Jaguars.
So I think the Jaguars have a more impressive win resume right now. And then also I think what they're doing defensively is highly impressive.
Yeah.
And that's where the concerns that you have, Colts should probably be exploring potential trade candidates to add a pass rusher to their group. Their corner situation is a big question. I think maybe Jacksonville's continued pathway is a little bit more delicate as far as like the importance of what Travis Hunter's bringing on both sides of the ball. And please miss me with like the bus through 4 weeks conversation with him. And
saw some special talent last night.
There's plays that are being made on both sides there. We're going to continue to find out, I should say, for Jacksonville. And I know we said that last week, but the win at home against Kansas City, they now have Seattle at home, and then they have the Rams international before their bye. So that they got a chance to, if they win these next 2, I don't think it will really matter unless the Colts win both the head-to-heads. But I think it's totally fair to point out some of the holes in Indianapolis's resume. And I don't know that it's going to get a lot clearer because 2 of their next 3 are Arizona and Tennessee at home.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to continue to win games. But for the Colts, I think the clarity comes in week 12. I think we're getting our clarity window on just how for real Jacksonville is right now. With
Seattle and Jacksonville next week at 1:00. I know what I'm doing.
I know what I wish I was doing.
I hear you on that,
Watching
brother.
That game.
I hear you on that. I guess while we're talking top of the conference, it's worth talking about the Bills. I think they got some questions on defense. They've had questions on defense. I think there's hope that they're going to get healthy. Ed Oliver should come back this week. They get their suspended players, Michael Hoyt and Larry Ogunjobi, back after this game. Maybe they get Maxwell Harrison back at corner, which would be huge because Trey White's struggling out there. But they gotta play better on defense. They can get better contributions out of Taylor Rapp at safety. But I don't look at the loss that they took against New England as a very characteristic loss. That's a lot of the normal issues that the Bills usually win in spite of were there. You don't really typically see the type of penalties and giveaways that they had in that game. And so I don't know that that's like oh no, there's chinks in Buffalo's armor that's going to keep them out of being a serious team in the AFC.
Yeah, I think the clarity window for Buffalo as far as like how stable they are is when you get to weeks 9 through 13, where it's Kansas City, Tampa Bay, at Houston with their defense, and then at Pittsburgh. That stretch of games, I think, is I think they're going to roll up the wins, Buffalo will, to be at the top of the conference when it's all said and done. But the manner in which they play those games against those opponents, I think is going to be very important for kind of the tone of them going into the postseason.
I agree with that. They should probably have 1 or 2 losses going into that stretch. But I think that's your measuring stick window as well.
Yeah.
All right. Who's on the brink? We'll explore that here on the other side of it, folks. Be sure to stick with us. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Every day we make decisions, but on Prize Picks, being right can actually get you paid. Don't miss the excitement of this football season with Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Playing Prize Picks is such a fun, simple way to add more excitement to football. You just pick more or less on player projections like Josh Allen's passing yards or Saquon Barkley's rushing for a touchdown, and you're in the game. I love how quick it is. You can make your lineup in under a minute, and one of my favorite parts is that they just added stacks. So if I want to ride with a player, I can select their pass yards, rush yards, and touchdowns all in one lineup, and this new injury reboot feature is awesome. If a player leaves early and doesn't return, it's not going to count against you. So download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Kyle, I want to ask you something here right out of the break.
Okay.
Big talking point that we missed, I think, on the reaction show yesterday. What's your take on Eric Collins?
Oh, I thought he was awful.
Boy, he said, I think he's awful.
Come on and get a half dozen players' names wrong. I'm sorry. Like we both Mark Schlereth and Eric Collins both called Jaden Waddle in the pregame show. We could Jalen Phillips gets a sack, you call him Jaden Phillips during the game. Like the energy is great, cool, like awesome. Love the enthusiasm. But and I probably care more as somebody who was of somebody who covers and it has a vested interest in one of the teams playing the game.
Yeah.
I was like, man, these guys are kooky. Like Jaden Waddle, both of them said separate marks in the build up to the start of the game.
All right. So your exception is that they had some player names incorrect. The way he called the game, the energy, the yelling, like the next Gus Johnson comments out there, like, are you cool with that? Or you kind of not in?
I would not put him remotely in the stratosphere of Gus Johnson. It felt like listening to a basketball guy call a football game.
Well, because that's what he is. So yeah, Eric Collins,
exactly what it felt like.
I was familiar with him because when in my peak of basketball fandom, he called the Bobcats and Hornets games, and I watched, I don't know, almost all of them. And so I knew Eric Collins. I didn't know he was calling football games.
Neither did I.
So that was new for me on Sunday. I was like, really? And I don't know. You hear people talking about Al Michaels sounding like he's asleep. At least he's not asleep. That's what I'll say. All right.
I think that's the first time he's ever worked an NFL game.
Is it? He called it like he was.
I'm on the Wikipedia page and we did a little bit of baseball.
What was his years with the?
He filled in for Mike Tirico in 2002 on College Football on ABC for a game.
What was his time as the Hornets guy? Does it say it on there?
Bulls sideline reporter from 97 to 2002.
He's older than I thought he was.
Not the next Gus Johnson, then. I can tell you that.
Do you like barbecue?
Doesn't say.
All right. AFC teams on the brink. Kyle, what comes to mind for you when you think about these teams? Maybe 3-2. They're 2-3, something like that,
Mm-hmm.
that you feel like a breakthrough's coming, maybe good or bad?
I think you look at New England,
Yeah.
the two leaders in the AFC West right now. Well, Pittsburgh's kind of unique because they've had an early bye there at 3-1.
Right. It's weird.
I still would like to have another game or two to kind of
Feel them out.
feel them out. They get the Browns and Bengals the next 2 weeks, so I don't know how much more felt out I'm going to be on the Steelers just yet.
I feel like the Browns is a tougher matchup for them.
It is. Yeah, I would say so. Because they up until the Minnesota game, they didn't really have a lot of success running the ball the first 3 weeks of the season. And they have not put up big yardage on through the air. And they finally hit what DK Metcalf finally caught one in stride against Minnesota.
Yeah.
So I'm to be determined on Pittsburgh, but kind of on the brink teams that I think can legitimize themselves is the Patriots, the Chargers, and the Broncos are the three teams.
I think those are the right ones to invoke. I think we have a lot to learn about Houston. I knew their last two games, what have they won? Like 70-10 over Tennessee and Baltimore. Not sure how much I care about that. Seattle, San Francisco, Denver, Jacksonville, their next four. We'll find out some things about Houston. But
I think they're going to have something to say about it just because they're averaging like 12 points allowed per game.
Their defense is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're at the top of the charts in almost every major statistical category. So I think they will be there at the end of the year. I think the thing that we didn't anticipate was 2 4-1 teams in the division elsewhere around.
Yeah, there's some resistance there. I want to talk New England, but let's get into Chargers and Broncos. The Chargers have dropped 2 in a row. The Broncos have won 2 in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Broncos, they beat Cincinnati, and then they come from behind against Philly in Philly. The Chargers dropping 2 in a row to the Giants and Commanders.
That Giants loss is a bad loss.
Yeah, I think both are in ways that they kind of beat themselves in ways that wasn't characteristic in their first 3 wins of the year. Do you feel like either team is going to like really have a breakthrough and stacked wins? Or are they going to kind of hover around 500 and win 9-10 games?
I think the concern for the Chargers is the injuries, right? Where now Marion Hampton's on IR to go with Rashawn Slater's out for the year. And I know they didn't have Mekhi Becton and Joe Alt's missing time now. So what are you able to do offensively? Despite all that, they've run for over 300 yards the last 2 games.
Yeah.
I think they have the firepower in the passing game, but I mean, they've been under 200 passing yards the last 2 weeks. It's just this weird, is it really that? Are you that dependent upon your tackles to protect Justin Herbert?
Patriots are 3-2. Their next 3 are the Saints, Titans, and Browns.
They're going to reel off some wins.
Yeah, and Drake May looks phenomenal. I think obviously defensively, they got 2 players back. I think it's a big deal. They got Gonzalez back at corner, and they get Jelani Tavai back at linebacker, and that is such an upgrade over the Christian Ellis. Who's the other guy? Jack Gibbons that has been playing next to Spillane, and I think Spillane after his first 2 games has really settled into that defense. Yeah, I think New England's going to be right in it.
You can convince me that New England goes into their bye at 10-3 because it's Saints, Titans, Browns, Falcons at Bucks, Jets at Bengals, Giants.
Yeah. I mean, I think you can look at that and you could see the path. Doing it is another thing, right?
Yeah, and I don't think they will, but you could
you could see it. I think that speaks to the opportunity ahead for New England. And
they
get another one against the Bills, obviously, and they won in Buffalo.
They need to find a way to play a little bit more complementary football. I mean, the run game's been
it's not there.
Lethargic.
Yeah, it's not there. And Gibson just went down. Stevenson keeps fumbling, and Henderson hasn't gotten going.
Oh, that's what they need to happen. That's their pathway to improvement is Travion Henderson taking strides in his rookie season.
I think you're exactly right, because outside of Diggs and Henry in the passing game, there's not much, right? They haven't got Pop Douglas going. Butte will make a catch a game. But right now it's May's getting the ball to those guys. It's Henry and Diggs. And I think it's good players, but I think you might be looking for another element there.
And I mean, their formula is, outside of the 5 turnover game against Pittsburgh that they gave that game away, they have 2 turnovers offensively in the other 4 games.
Yeah.
So, is that sustainable? You could protect the ball, but are you going to always have that kind of ball security success? Probably not. So that mixed with the run game, I think is where they have to play a little bit more well-rounded to be legitimate. Now, I think they're going to have a very robust win total this year, but I think they might be that team that you get to the postseason and you, assuming they make it, you see kind of the warts exposed once you start playing a different game because you're playing in the postseason, right? Like, and it's to be expected with kind of like a new build that's coming in and a new coach, and foundationally you're not there yet, and this is building forward. But man, this schedule really sets up favorably for them, and I expect them to have a very robust record when the season's done, based off of what the opponents look like, and their challenge is not having letdown games and winning the games you're supposed to.
Yeah, good. The start of a very good foundational year for Mike Vrabel and this Patriots team, and obviously Drake May looking like a dude. All right. I just saw it. You know exactly what just happened. Who is preparing for the Levy Grail? We'll remind you what that is here on the other side of it, folks. Be sure to stick with us. Mazda crafts cars for more than those who simply just move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride, with more IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus awards than anyone else. From footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat all the details, and Mazda brings this same intention to how we craft every model. You can feel the craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents available and the Napa leather upholstery. You can make everyday drives feel like anything but, from smooth handling to intuitive controls. With all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence through almost any season. Like our players, we sweat every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved.
Levy Grail. Fight on, my men.
Fight on, my men. Not yet, though. Not yet. But soon.
So the Levy Grail, if you're not familiar, is Marv Levy in the midst of the successful, but ultimately for the ultimate prize, unsuccessful. Is that the best way to phrase it?
I like to listen to you try to dance around that. That's, successful.
4 consecutive conference championships with no league championships.
Yeah.
In the midst of that stretch, Marv Levy would give the recitement of the poem to his team to fight on. And so we've called, like, when your season's done, so we call it the Levy Grail. And we go through and we do a show. And it's like, hey, here's all the reasons for you as a fan to fight on. And this is what you have to look forward to and why things can be better next year. A lot of teams in this conference at 1-4 or 0-5. You got the Dolphins, the Jets, the Ravens, the Browns, the Titans, the Raiders, all with 1 or less losses. Baltimore is still favored to win this division, Joe.
Is that right? Wow.
I do not buy it, because they're going to be 1-5, in my opinion.
Yeah, Rams are going to cook them, right?
No pathway for Cooper Rush to beat the Rams.
I don't know about after that, though, Kyle. Are we sure there's not a bunch of wins coming if they get Lamar back?
There should be some, but are you going to win every game you're supposed to? Because let's say they're 1-5 and they come back from the bye and Lamar comes back, you probably pick them to beat the Bears, right?
Yeah.
Beat the Dolphins.
With Lamar, yeah.
Beat Minnesota.
Who's playing quarterback? Is it McCarthy? Is it Brosmer? Is Wentz their best one? Probably.
The concern that I have in that game is that game's a month from now. So if Minnesota gets these starters they're missing on the offensive line back, and they get Aaron Jones back, and Baltimore still got their skeleton crew of a defensive line out there.
Yeah. In Minnesota too, right?
In Minnesota. Okay. Cleveland held them to 45 rushing yards and 242 yards of offense, but it was special teams and defense for Baltimore that led to a blowout win. I'd pick the Ravens to win that game. The Jets, okay. The Bengals, yeah. Pittsburgh,
Tough.
who the heck knows? At Green Bay, New England. Like they would legit need to probably lose 2 games after the bye to have a chance to win the division.
If they don't have Lamar, I don't know that they beat Chicago.
If they don't have Lamar, I don't know the next game that I would look at for them and
Right. I mean,
predict
honestly,
them to win.
I mean, you got Rashad Bateman not competing for the ball.
That was bad. And Harbaugh said so afterwards. But what really set me off about Harbaugh afterwards on Monday when he was asked about it, he said, I don't know. I haven't talked to him about it yet. Sir, it is Monday. What do you mean you haven't talked to him?
That's got to be top of the list, right? Like high priority for the day after me.
I'd want to scope that one out.
Yeah, what's up, man? What was the hole that Cincinnati was in last year, and they kind of rallied but didn't get it done.
The
They
Bengals
were
last year were 1-4. They were the exact mark that Baltimore is at right now.
And they got to 9-8.
They got to 9-8 with 1-score losses to Baltimore by a point on a Thursday in Baltimore. 7-point loss in Los Angeles to the Chargers the following week. They lost to the Steelers by 6 out of their bye week, and then they won the rest of their games.
All right, so I think when you look at this collection of teams with 1 or fewer wins, Baltimore's the one that I don't know, to me that I feel like has a chance. I think the Jets done. Just don't have and I never expected them to be very good this year, and I think they deserve a lot of grace with, I mean, they just need time to get that roster at a point where you can have expectations for them.
Yep.
Miami, are we done?
I am.
Is there a path? I mean, this has been a team that's been able to get out of some holes.
It'd be nice to not have to do that for once, but 2-6 last year to 8-8. 2021 they started 1-7 and finished 9-8.
Yeah.
So
that kind
they've
of
done
stuff,
this.
Right? They were 2-6 last year, right? And finished 9-8.
Yeah, 2-6 to 8-9, but they got to 8-8 and then lost once. The whole
and
team
then Tua got
quit.
injured again at the end of the year, right? And didn't finish the
well,
season.
And then the rest of the team quit once they saw that the Broncos were going to beat the Chiefs. But that's the issue I have with Miami is less about talent. Now their young defensive tackles are looking like young defensive tackles, and their secondary looks like it's piecemeal together. And they're now on their 5th option for a nickel because Cornell Armstrong's going to miss time. Legit, their 4th. That's been their 4th choice. Was signed in training camp. So the places that they couldn't afford to take an injury that they have with the offensive line, and it's going to be multiple weeks for both starters on the right side of the offensive line to get back. It's just there's an incoherency and a disconnect between the players and the coaches that's evident every time you put a microphone in front of the coach and the players at the same time. And I think there's a disconnect between what you have and what you want to be. This team, I have some EPA numbers, and I'm going to spoil part of my own program today, but I thought you'd find these interesting. The Dolphins offensively this season, 135 plays out of 11 personnel. They ran 22 plays of 11 personnel against the Panthers in a game in which they were up 17-0 at one point, and they averaged 1.6 yards per play. 1.6 yards per play.
It's tough to do.
Without Tyreek Hill, we win 22 plays, 11 personnel. Their EPA is 17th in the NFL out of 32 teams with 11 personnel on the field. They've only played 15 plays of 12 personnel. They're 15th in that regard. 98 plays of 21 personnel, which is their bread and butter. They ranked 27th out of 28 teams out of 21 personnel with a fullback, tight end, and a back and another tight end. Versus the last 2 weeks, you've seen 11 plays of 22 personnel, which is heavy with 2 tight ends, and Darren Waller comes back. They're first in the NFL. Their EPA out of those 14 plays in 22 is exponentially. It's 6 times higher than all those other personnel packages combined. So that's what works for them. They ran it 3 times in the low red zone and got a touchdown against Carolina. The following possession, they got a 21-yard passing completion to Darren Waller, all out of 22. They didn't call a 22 personnel package play again until 4.5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and they scored a 46-yard touchdown on it.
Oh, geez. After that lull,
it's just like a lack of awareness of like, what do you have? What do you need to be? It's not there. And that for me is why, like, yeah, I am out of Miami, but I think they have more to work with, even with the Tyreek Hill injury, than some of these other teams that are in this bucket right now.
Cleveland, young, scrappy. It's not your year, but I don't think you're that far away. If you can, maybe they do have a quarterback. I'm not sure, but
kind of the same conversations as the Jets, in my opinion, but they're playing much more inspired football.
Yeah, I like the way they compete, and they got some good-looking young players. Raiders can't do it. I'm not in on the Raiders at all. They're underwhelmed with talent, and I mean, Geno doesn't really have much in the way of pass catchers. Bowers has the PCL. Offensive line isn't what it's supposed to be. I don't think they have enough stuff to be a real team this year.
And the vibes have been bad with that offensive line as they've been trying to like get guys in right spots and light a fire that's apparently needed under Jackson Powers Johnson and all the turnover. I mean, Geno Smith, nine interceptions.
Yeah. And a lot of clean, a bunch of clean pocket, like no pressure interceptions as well.
That's all right. He plays honorable football, though, so that's all that matters.
Yeah, he has 6 interceptions this year. 6 interceptions this year when not pressured. Like, that's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's no good.
And then we've
Tennessee. Yeah.
Which we made our thoughts known on Brian Callahan and that situation. I think they have some talent to work with. I would say putting them into buckets. Cleveland and the Jets are kind of in the same bucket for me. If these are foundational years with some young teams and you need to build up your rosters.
Yeah.
Right.
What does Tennessee fit into that as well?
Well, I think Tennessee, between what they should have on their offensive line, what they should have in Calvin Ridley, what I think they have in Cam Ward, with some of the veterans on defense, like I think they're more talent. They have more talent to work with than what like I think the Jets or Browns. Now, Myles Garrett's the best defensive player in football.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like they're at a little bit of a different intersection because of how they spent
into last year. Yeah. Which
kind of last 18 months, they spent a pretty handsome amount of money to bring some players in. Right? Like, I would kind of put Miami and Tennessee in the same bucket.
Yeah.
Like, I like some of your talent, but like your coaching is just not doing it for me.
You kind of put the Raiders in that a little bit too.
They're at least a little more weird because it's year one of Pete.
Sure.
Right? It's like, I don't know which bucket to put the Raiders
in between. They're in between the both.
Yeah. They're in limbo, which is a bad place to be.
Never want to be there.
If you're in limbo between the buckets for prepping for Levy Grails,
right.
It's not the place you want to live. So that's the AFC landscape as a whole. That's going to do it for us here today on the show. Kyle Crabbs, Joe Marino, we appreciate you guys checking the show. Make it a great rest of your day, and we'll be back with you all again tomorrow.